Hello, everybody. It's Kyle again. Today, I wanted to talk about regret and how to get past it, and what to do about it, and how to move forward past a regretful situation, something that you wish had gone differently in the past, but you're stuck with it now and you have to move forward. And how do you do that? So, regret is something where, just to simply define it, something has happened in the past that you wish had gone one way, but actually went a different way. So, say at a job, you wish that you had done a good job there and progressed in your career or whatever, but it actually ended up being that you weren't able to fulfill what you were supposed to do at this particular job, and what ended up happening was you got fired. Or in a relationship, you did X, Y, and Z things that didn't work out in the relationship, and it ended up ending. And in hindsight, say with the job or with the relationship, you realize that, oh, I could have done this differently. So, at the job, like, I could have talked to this client, or I could have, now I know, oh, I did this thing wrong. I didn't anticipate this thing going wrong with the business, investing in this kind of thing. Or in a relationship, you regret something you said, like, I said this at this particular time. And the thing is, with a relationship, it's like, I've heard before, words are something where as soon as you say something, you can never take it back. It's out there now. It's made real. So similarly with actions, once you do something, you can't ever really go back to how it was in the past. So the issue with regret is, a lot of the time people will think back on the past and analyze what happened. Oftentimes not what went right. People will gloss over what went right and completely ignore it, but they'll fixate on what went wrong, and they'll fixate on all the things they could have done differently in order to get what they wanted, which they didn't get because they did X, Y, and Z wrong things, right? So the thing with regret is that there's an aspect of it which is actually positive. So regret itself is not necessarily always a terrible thing. Regret often happens when we realize that we did something that we don't want to do in the future. So, for instance, for me, yesterday I parked my car somewhere and I forgot to write down the street. And when I went back to look for my car, I couldn't find it, and it took me like half an hour to find my car. So that is a regret. That's a thing where I could have cut down on that time just by writing down in my phone, like, where I put my car. Right? Dude, where's my car? Well, you know what? That's a regret, because it's something that is not the best thing, not something that I want to do again in the future. It's not like I'm going to go out of my way to lose my car again. That would make no sense, obviously. It would be inefficient, and it would be a dumb thing to do. Well, in our life, we're always looking for the best possible way forward. This is the thing, this is the path that I should go on, this is how I should comport myself, this is the way that I should live. And the thing with experience is that over time we end up building up this sense of experience of I now know the best way to move forward in life, because I've reached all these dead ends and I've pursued all these things that haven't worked out. But these things have worked out, right? So the good thing about regret, the thing that is positive about regret, is that you are paying attention to what went right and what went wrong in your life. You're paying attention to the good and the bad. You're paying attention to what you want actually out of life. And that's the good part of regret, is that you are analyzing situations, and the analysis of a situation is not necessarily a bad thing. The trying to think of like what I did right, what I did wrong, is going to help you in life in a variety of situations. Like if you're playing a sport, if you play baseball, then analyzing, is this the way I should throw the ball? Is this the way I should hit the ball? Was I too slow? Did I not react fast enough? Was I not watching this kind of player? All these things you can analyze in order to get better at the sport. And that's the same with music, with playing a video game, with your career, with school. All these things, analyzing things is not a bad thing. In fact, as human beings, that's how we get better in a variety of situations. That's how we improve. That's how we find a way forward in life, right? So analysis itself is not a bad thing necessarily, but it's when we start getting into over-analysis, which there's a spectrum, obviously, of like, okay, when does analysis become over-analysis? And letting it get you down and depressed and stop yourself from moving forward because of the regret you have. So, for instance, with a relationship, you can regret the way you acted, the way it turned out, what you did in a certain circumstance, and you can analyze, like, should I have done this? Should I have not done that? Did I lose my cool? Did I say the wrong thing? All this stuff, not necessarily a bad thing, can kind of help you actually. But it becomes something where it drags you down when you then stop moving forward because of it, and you stop pursuing new things. So like, instead of analyzing what you did in the relationship and what went wrong, instead you say, this relationship is just bad. It was bad, it was horrible, it got me down, it gets me down, it makes me feel bad, I don't want to be in another relationship, I'm not going to do this, blah blah blah. And you're letting it weigh you down in an emotional sense of like, this was it was so bad, it was so bad. That's the element where regret is a problem, where it's not regret in the sense of just a logical understanding that I didn't do things in the way that would pay off the best for me. That's the form of regret of analysis, which is beneficial. The negative part, the bad part, is when you let it weigh you down, you let it stop you from getting into new circumstances. So, like, yeah, I screwed up in my relationship, therefore I'm never ever going to pursue another one. I screwed up at work, therefore I'm just not going to, ever pursue the kind of career I want, or the kind of job I want, or go for further things. There's this element of the hammer that sticks out gets nailed down, and you often find yourself having done X, Y, and Z negative things in the past. You've been in situations that haven't turned out for you, and so you get down and you feel like life is beating you down, and you don't have the will or the strength or the drive to pick yourself back up and to pursue whatever situation is ahead of you, right? So that's the negative part of regret. And I think about my own experiences in the past, particularly career-wise. I've made a lot of bad decisions, and Um, you know, I didn't give it my all. Very fearful in a lot of situations. Um, it was where I had the opportunity to pursue something that it was risky, as many new things are, as almost every new thing is. It's a risk, and I had the opportunity of pursuing it, but instead I did nothing. So that's the kind of thing where I look back on my life and I think, had I pursued this kind of thing further, um, it would have set me up to be in a better position now. It would have given me more experience. Even if it went wrong, it would have been a learning experience that I would have grown from. So, I was talking to somebody online, and he was saying that there was no point in self-improving now because he's 23, and all the people that had success with girls and with being social and all this stuff, like, they did it naturally in high school, in junior high. So, he's 23. He's it's way too late for him. It's over for him. And there's this sort of meme in the incel community of it's over, it's done, your life is over. And that's I think an extremely limiting view. I think it's a very anti-reality view, because the truth is that as long as you have the will to try to accomplish new things, then life often reveals opportunities for you. It lets you pursue new things, and you can take advantage of new opportunities. But saying it's over and my life is done and there's no point to anything is going to really, really set you back, and it's going to stop you from trying ever new things. So when it comes to regret, the truth is, and it's a philosophical question, it's quite an abstract thing, but the truth is that the past is over and it is gone. It's never coming back. And so you can, if you get stuck there where I tried something in the past, didn't work out, so I'm never going to try it again. In a sense, there's, maybe a little bit of wisdom to that. Like, I stuck a fork in an electrical outlet once, got shocked, I'm not going to do that again. That kind of thing is helpful, of like knowing what not to do, knowing not to enter a bad situation. But it really sets you back when you're stuck in the past and you think, I'm not ever going to try for anything new because I screwed up in the past. This went bad for me. And I think in general, some people let the age issue really get them down. Like the example I said with the 23-year-old of, he's 23, it's all over for him. Anything he should have done back in high school, and now that he's 23, oh no, he couldn't possibly get anything he wants, right? But no, the truth is that as long as you're alive, you have the capability of going outside of your comfort zone and trying something new and pushing things forward. And it's going to be tough, like some people end up in worse situations because of their circumstances or their personality. If you're an agoraphobic person who's stuck at home and you can't leave the house and you don't have a job, you're unemployed and you don't have any friends, you're going to start from a more difficult, a worse position than the person who's, working as a lawyer, and had success with relationships and lots of friends and stuff like that, and maybe they have regrets of like, oh, I should have done this at my job, or I should have asked that person out. But or I should have made this network connection. But, their kind of regret, they might still have regrets. They're going to start from a different position than the guy who stayed in his house and, never left his house or whatever. So you have to start from whatever position you're at, and different people are going to have different regrets. If you are in jail and you committed a violent felony when you were 18 or something like that, and now you're stuck with that is also something that you're going to have to move forward from that position. You just have to live with what you did, and yeah, you can, it's that good and bad part of regret of, like, if you're in prison, you should probably analyze what got you there so you don't end up back in prison, unless you really like prison. But most people don't really like prison. Not that fun of a place to be. But you can analyze what you did and think, like, okay, I'm not gonna get myself into that position again. If I'm an angry person, I'm not going to let somebody on the street, make me angry or whatever like that. So you have to analyze the past, I think, to some degree. You have to think about what you've done, and try and analyze your behavior, try and analyze what you've done, try and think of, like, what could I have done differently in this position? What could I have done differently? Especially if something didn't reveal good things for you, didn't blossom like you wanted it to. If you were in a job where the whole job just didn't work out, you can think about, like, well, why didn't that work out? What could I have done differently? Could I have tried this? Could I have tried that? Should I have just left immediately? What were my options? Why didn't I pursue these options? And this gets to a really, really important thing, I think, which is looking for opportunities and open doors rather than fixating on the closed doors and the opportunities that did not work out. So your job didn't work out, but you have to see it as a learning experience rather than just a complete waste of time. Even a complete waste of time is a learning experience, because you realize it's a complete waste of time, and you're going to try to not completely waste your time in the future. I remember when I was in junior high, I spent a lot of time playing video games. Junior high and high school to a degree. I put a lot of hours into, like, Japanese RPGs and stuff like that, and in hindsight, it's like, man, if I had worked on my social skills during that time, if all that time that I spent playing video games, if I had, like, talked to people, worked on a skill or something like that, like I would have been in a better position. It's just true. Whatever, right? The thing is, you analyze it, and you don't say, like, woe is me, like, oh my god, this is so horrible, oh, everything's over, it's so terrible, I shouldn't have done this, I shouldn't have done that. Even if, yeah, it was really bad, like, you were in an abusive relationship for 10 years. Is it not depressing, but it's not good that it happened, obviously. It's obviously not good that you were in that relationship for so long, obviously. But you are where you are now, in the present, and what do you do moving forward? Well, you know not to get into that kind of relationship again, and you try your best to stay out of that. So you have to look for opportunities rather than fixate on the past. I think a lot of people are unsatisfied with their life because they are stuck in the past and stuck on the what ifs. Yawning a lot, sorry. The weather's cold, so it gets me sleepy. Yeah, but a lot of people are fixated on, the past and stuck in like, you know, all the things that went wrong, and I think a lot of the time that can compound as you get older too. If you don't, uh, if you don't nip it in the bud earlier, you can end up 65 and just full of regrets because you realize all those situations that you could have done things differently, you didn't. And, there's the quote that youth is wasted on the young. And, I think that that's probably partly true because, you have to step out of your comfort zone every day. But that's what the 65-year-old who really is just full of regrets and is angry and bitter and they think their life is over is because they don't see the opportunities there. Yeah, you're 65. Yeah, okay, you have less energy, you've got perhaps physical problems, back problems, whatever. You can still, maybe you're retired. You can join groups, you can talk to new people, you can still learn a skill. Like, as long as you're alive, you have the capability of learning new things and being a dynamic person rather than a static person who's stuck forever being the same thing. Like, you can move forward regardless of the age. And this isn't like just a cliched thing that's like, trying to make you feel good. It's simply true that you have the opportunity. It doesn't matter how old you are, and this gets back to my video I made about letting yourself go of like, yeah, you're 65, but you can still get in shape. You can still work and do things and be active. And even if you've spent your whole life not being that way, yeah, it's going to be tougher for you, but you can still do it. You can still turn things around. I think it's more so that I think this is the biggest aspect of regret, is that regret, in a sense, being overwhelmed with regret and stuck with regret, gives you an excuse to not step out of your comfort zone, gives you an excuse to not face your fears. Because if you can say like, oh, my life is a waste now, it's all over, I didn't do anything of what I wanted to do, then you aren't faced with that fear of actually moving forward and doing something new and doing something exciting and doing something outside of your comfort zone. So regret, in a sense, I think like a lot of negative stuff, is people get comfortable and are, in a sense, happier with the negative stuff. They're happier, they're more comfortable with being stuck in the negative space. They're more comfortable with it, and they're more satisfied being stuck in regret. But you're not going to get much of what you want. You're not going to get much of an exciting or interesting or dynamic or what it really means to live, of like actually living, actually like enjoying yourself. You're not going to get much of that if you are stuck, fixated on regret. So hopefully this was a little bit interesting to you. Hopefully you have your own ideas about regret and why you shouldn't fixate on it and be stuck in there, and different things you can do to get out of that mindset. So thank you for watching, and have yourself a great day.